assault unfolded in the early hours when waves of Russian drones and missiles swept across southern Ukraine, focusing on strategic port infrastructure in the Odesa region, a vital hub for Ukraine's maritime trade. Air raid sirens echoed across coastal cities as Ukrainian air defenses attempted to intercept incoming targets, lighting up the night sky over the Black Sea. Despite these efforts, several projectiles broke through, striking two port facilities used for civilian shipping and logistics, triggering loud explosions and widespread panic among port workers and nearby residents. Local authorities reported that the attacks caused significant damage to docks, warehouses, and loading equipment, temporarily halting operations at the affected ports. Thick plumes of smoke rose from the waterfront as emergency services rushed to contain fires sparked by the strikes. Officials emphasized that the ports targeted are primarily used for commercial exports and humanitarian shipments, underlining concerns that Russia is deliberately aiming at Ukraine's economic lifelines rather than strictly military assets. The renewed bombardment marked one of the most intense assaults on Odessa's port infrastructure in recent weeks, reinforcing fears of further escalation along the Black Sea coast. As the smoke cleared, attention shifted to the foreign vessels caught in the attack, highlighting the wider international fallout of the strikes. 3 Turkish-owned commercial ships, anchored or docked at the ports during the assault, were hit by debris and blast waves. One RORO cargo vessel was the worst affected, with a fire breaking out on board shortly after the impact. Flames and thick black smoke were seen billowing from the deck as port firefighters and emergency crews rushed to prevent the blaze from spreading to fuel tanks or nearby ships. Crew members were swiftly evacuated, and initial reports suggested no fatalities, though several sailors were treated for smoke inhalation and shock. Turkish shipping authorities confirmed that the vessels had been engaged in routine commercial operations and were not involved in any military activity, intensifying concerns over the safety of civilian maritime traffic in the Black Sea. The incident sent shockwaves through the shipping industry, with insurers and operators reassessing risks as images of burning foreign ships circulated widely, reinforcing fears that the conflict is increasingly spilling into international trade routes. Political and diplomatic reactions followed swiftly as Kyiv accused Moscow of deliberately undermining Black Sea stability. Ukrainian officials stated that the strikes were part of a broader strategy to intimidate international partners and disrupt Ukraine's export corridors, particularly those used for grain and essential goods. President Volodymyr Zelensky shared footage from the damaged ports, stressing that attacks on civilian infrastructure and foreign vessels demonstrate Russia's disregard for international maritime norms and calls for restraint. Ankara closely monitored developments, with Turkish officials raising concerns through diplomatic channels and reiterating the need to protect civilian shipping. Analysts warned that involving foreign-owned vessels risks dragging regional players into deeper tension, even if unintentionally. Meanwhile, Russia maintained that its operations were aimed at military-related infrastructure. The longer-term implications of the strikes are now coming into focus as port authorities assess damage and shipping companies weigh their next moves. Temporary closures and reduced capacity at the affected Odesa ports threaten to slow Ukraine's export flows, particularly agricultural products that many countries depend on. Maritime experts warn
that repeated attacks on port infrastructure could make commercial routes through the Black Sea economically unviable, driving up insurance costs and forcing vessels to seek longer, costlier alternatives. International observers have renewed calls for stronger guarantees to protect civilian shipping and port facilities, cautioning that continued escalation could ripple far beyond the battlefield. Humanitarian agencies also expressed concern that disruptions at Odesa could hinder the delivery of aid and essential supplies. As emergency repairs begin and vessels are inspected for seaworthiness, uncertainty hangs over the region, with the latest attack reinforcing fears that the conflict is entering a phase where global trade and food security face growing collateral damage.